Hey guys, welcome back to Project E. This week, I want to talk about one of the all-time best fish catching pieces of cover year around. That's a big statement. You know, from cold water to hot water and everything in between, what is the best fish catching piece of structure in my mind? It's RipRap, and we have it on every lake that we fish across the country. You know, RipRap in a nutshell, it's man-made placed rock to prevent erosion. You've got them on dams, you've got them on causeways, you've got them in front of your yard, you know, to prevent erosions. You got them around ponds and golf courses. I mean, there's RipRap everywhere. But in my mind, it holds fish 365 days a year. They'll spawn on it, they'll live on it, they live there. I'm hoping to catch a bunch of fish off of it today and show you some different ways that I attack it. Not saying it's right or wrong, but it's what works for me. Let's go. There's one, that's a pretty good one. So I finally get up there shallower, and man, I hook a good one. So what I was doing to combat this really calm weather was reeling it really fast. I hadn't jumped yet. Oh, it just got hooked in the chin. That's what it is. Come here, buddy. Look at the coloration of that fish. That's why he fought so hard. He went down on it. He tried to pin that against a rock. See how dark he is? It just goes to show he's living up there in those rocks. Pretty fish though. That rock right there is a prime example of, like, you know, when the shoreline was at that level, you know, it's 3 foot deep right underneath it, and there's no other rocks around it. So it's just a great ambush point for a bass. And that's gonna be a rock that when that water's at the top of it or 3-4 feet above it, that's always going to be a rock that you're going to catch a bass off of. And that's what they relate to, is stuff just like that. There's always little special places on the RipRap. You know, it may all look the same, but there's always spots like that up and down every RipRap across the country that has special rocks, special places, special stretches, just like that one. Starting to get a little bit of ripple on the water. That should help. We get some ripple. Makes all the difference in the world when you got ripple. It just, they can't see that your bait near as well. They can just helps a bunch. Golly, that fish is crazy. Man, I just popped it off a rock and he ate it. Golly, he is going nuts. Come here, fish, come here. Come here. Oh, he's got a mouthful of that crankbait. He ate that thing, didn't he? Oh, it's all about changing your speeds. You know, that was I sped it up when I went to hit that, when I came off that rock, and it's like that bass couldn't take it. He wanted, like, no, you're not getting away from me. It's kind of like cat and mouse. You know, when you think about playing with a cat in the room and you try to take his toy away from it, they don't like it. A bass is the same way. He doesn't like it. Pretty fish. So I made a pass with a square bill, caught some fish. You know, there's a couple little key stretches there. We figured out there's some fish shallow. Had one really big one, had some other smaller fish. I'm gonna get a different bait out now that the wind's going a little bit more and go right back down over that same stretch. You know, it's one thing with RipRap. Bass are moving up and down it all the time. I mean, they're not in one spot on it. They're all the time moving, so it doesn't bother me at all to go back over something I just fished. Tell me a bass doesn't live under that rock when the water's up, or a big old catfish, one of the two. Oh, there's one. Not a big one. Just trying to show them a different bait. You know, I fished down this thing one time now, maybe a little 100-yard stretch. There's so many boats on it, so I just kind of fishing right in the middle of it. So I just brought down just a little Berkeley cutter jerk bait and had a bite right off the bat. So pretty bass. Some high altitude fishing right there. So I've made 2 passes, and one pass I had quite a few bites. The other pass I only had hardly any bites. And in my mind, I think, you know, there's always going to be a direction on the RipRap that's going to be better than the other, you know, one way or the other, and it has to do with current. You know, it could be wind generated current, could be dam generated current, but pay attention to that. Figure out which direction is going to be better, because those fish are going to be sitting there facing up current, you know, and I would just think about that when you go to approach the RipRap. Another way to fish RipRap, especially if you got people in the back of your boat, is a 90-degree angle. I like this angle when the fish are out deeper, especially and the water's warmer. It's just a great way to cover the whole water column. You can bring it right down through there, and a lot of times when you go to bring it up, that last stretch when you go to bring it up, those deep fish will come up and get it, almost like you're jerkbait fishing. I don't know if it's going to work today, if the fish are far enough along for this technique to work. I would also like it to be a lot sunnier. You know, I feel like right now with the conditions I'm presented with today, with the clouds, those fish are up pretty tight. If it got sunny, those fish are going to pull out a little bit, and this is when this technique would do a lot better. That might be a decent one. So I switched up to a spinnerbait just to kind of show them something different. And I got that one to bite. That's like my third cast with it. So you just gotta kind of keep trying different things, because you don't ever really know what they want. And as the day changes, the fish will change depth too. I mean, they may start in the morning right up on the rocks, and then as the day goes, you know, they may be out 8, 10, 12, 14 feet. Thus, it's just a perfect place for bass to live and reside, is on RipRap. They can spawn on it, they can eat on it, they live on it, they got every depth they possibly want. What a cool fish. Look at this. You guys got to see all these black spots. There's a bunch of theories behind these black spots. Some people say it's where people touch them. I don't think that's it, because to me, I just don't think somebody touched there, touched there, touched there. I think it's healthy fish. When I see all these black spots, the fish are always healthy. I never see black spots on a fish that isn't healthy, but man, what a beautiful fish. Golly, that's fun. That is so much fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, buddy, see you. Watercolor is really going to dictate for you on your body of water what baits you're going to use. You know, I just picked up that spinner bait. Here I've got pretty stained water. I can see that far down. You know, my spinner bait disappeared that far down. So spinner bait's a great bait, square bill's a great bait, you know, crankbait could be a great bait. But you know, if your water on your lake, on your RipRap is clearer than that, spinner bait's not going to be the deal. You know, I don't want to be throwing a spinner bait when I can see it 5 foot down or 6 foot down. So, you know, for you, that's going to be a jerk bait, maybe a real subtle crankbait, or you'll be into that shaky head drop shot, maybe a little swim bait. So remember, just because I'm throwing a square bill and a spinner bait, I'm throwing these baits because that's the watercolor I have. You know, if it's clear, you got to change your baits. You know, with the spinner bait, it's really critical the angle that I'm casting towards this RipRap. I feel like the fish are in 4 to 6, 7 feet of water. I like to 45 this, because that way it allows me to reel it slow enough in that 2 to 3 foot of water. I'm keeping it right above those rocks. I'm able to fish it the whole time. Yes, you could get right in 7 foot of water, throw perpendicular to it, but what happens if you do that? You've got to let your bait sink to the bottom and then start reeling. And that way, a lot of times I'll get snagged up. I feel like by doing it this way, throwing, you know, 10 feet off the bank, start reeling it really slow. My bait is sinking as I'm reeling it, and I'm bumping those rocks every now and then. I'm getting it to that 6, 7 foot of water without getting snagged, because I have a lot less likely chance to get my bait snagged if it's moving, thus just throwing it out there and letting it go to the bottom. You know, in my situation here, choosing a spinnerbait to fish this RipRap, you know, you got choices with all the different spinnerbait blades. You know, I chose a double willow leaf spinnerbait because I got a little bit warmer water. I don't want the added lift of, say, a tandem willow leaf or a Colorado spinnerbait. Those would be great choices if the water was a lot colder. It'd allow me to reel the bait slower, giving it lift, you know, and everything would be slower to keep it deeper. I can get this bait deeper being double willow leaf because it doesn't have as much lift. Golly, he hit it at the boat. Gosh, dang it. Oh, get off my trolling motor. Get off my trolling motor. Don't get on my trolling motor. I just learned something really critical right there, and it's such an important thing to do with a spinnerbait is change your retrieve. And man, right when I started to reel that thing in faster, he nailed it. I mean, just short armed me, got me. Oh, it's a nice one too. Golly, this is fun. Come here, babe. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Oh, give up, give up, give up. Oh, yes, 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 yes. That is so much fun, especially when they get it right there. I about peed down both my legs because I was taking it out of the water and he comes to get it. What a beautiful fish. Thank you, girl. Change your retrieve. That's such a critical thing in fishing. That's what I learned from that fish bite. Change my retrieve. Make them spoons, them blades flutter. Change the retrieve, Edwin. Awesome, awesome. That's so much fun. Yes. Oh, man, they're starting to bite. Starting to bite. I fluttered my very next cast. Just the subtlest details of just popping that spinnerbait blades. That's what triggered that bite. Very next cast after that last one. How cool is that? Get in here, fish. Get in here. He's a little big to swing. There's another one. Oh, gosh. Oh, get in the boat. That's the importance of a trailer hook right there. I just barely got him. Trailer hook on the bottom. That's all that had him. That was fun. There's just an indention in the rocks right there. I think that's what makes it so good. There's just that indention in the rocks. We can really see it now that the water's so low, but we've got a lot of fish right here off this spot, and it's just an indention. A little spot those bass can get out of that current, or, you know, I can tuck up in there, a little deeper water in close. Another very, very critical zone on RipRap is where the rocks end. You can see right here on the depth finder, on the side imaging, you know, this is where the rocks end. These rocks out here are just rocks that tumbled down. As they're building that with a big excavator, there's always rocks that get away from them. These are these scattered rocks out here. That's the basic hard edge right there. That is just like a highway to a bass. They're gonna travel up and down that at some point in the year. You know, it's probably a summertime pattern or a springtime or a wintertime pattern, but oh, look right here. I mean, that's a prime example. There's a really big rock isolated out all by itself. That's gonna be a key spot. I'd put a waypoint right there. Just go in there and put a rock waypoint, you know, so I'll know, hey, Edwin, make an extra cast right there and make sure I get lined up on it. But you can idle down this RipRap. You'll find little key intricacies of it, little points, little areas that are a little bit different. When I'm fishing this outside edge like this, I wanna throw a crankbait sometimes parallel. A jig is a great bait. You know, a Carolina rig, football jig, any of those kinds of things. Those would be some of the baits that I'd attack it with, depending on the depth. You know, these rocks here end in about 8-9 feet, so I could use even a jerk bait on this. Throwing this spinnerbait on RipRap like this, I think it's really critical that you make a long cast. You know, it's a hard bait to get down to your depth. You know, if you make short casts, you're not gonna get it at the depth you wanna get it. So I think it's really critical to make longer casts than normal with that spinnerbait to keep it, you know, in that, oh gosh, there he is right there. Keep it in that depth right down there. What a fish. Golly, he hit it hard. Dadgummit, ever gets old, ever. You're gonna jump again. Come here, buddy. Come here, come here, come here, come here. All right, awesome. Anyway, I was trying to say make a long cast with your spinnerbait. It helps keep it in that depth. Man, that's fishing RipRap. There's a lot of other ways to fish it. you know, if the water's clear, if they're shallow, deeper, but you know, for this lake and the conditions I'm in, these are the baits that I used here today. Man, it's fun. Golly, it doesn't get any better than that right there. There he goes. Man, that's fun. I'm gonna catch another one. Thanks guys for following along. Project E. See you next week, hopefully.